Yeah, welcome to the AGP webinar. So we're going to talk about digital assets and some good tools that you can use for your business, whether that's reporting, measuring, testing. So we're going to go through a few different ones. So my name is Lee Woodman. I run a consultancy called visitdigital.com. So we're one of the coaches on the Accelerator growth program. So we tend to specialize in kind of digging into your business data, really. So we're interested in what happens kind of behind the scenes, the kind of data that you gather as a business. And we're trying to find kind of commercial opportunities inside that data. So it could be analytics, it could be Google Search Console. And then, we're trying to look for ways that essentially you can make more money from it or increase your relevant audiences that come to your website. So generally what we do. So digital assets to start with. So I'm a big kind of domain name fan. I think, if we look at your digital business from a foundation level, then the domain name is one of the key attributes of that kind of strategy. And, quite often, we buy and sell a lot of domain names for clients, whether that's kind of acquiring them because they didn't get them in the first place, or, for new companies, you can get them for £5 or sometimes they're £50,000. So it really depends on where you are. So I get asked a lot of the time, how do you attribute a value to a domain name? It's a bit like number plates. They are a bit of personal preference. I mean, I don't own this one, but, somebody that's for sale at the moment for 30 grand. Am I odd? It's this, people kind of perceive value in those number plates, and it's very similar to domain names. So the domain name is quite a key part of your digital strategy because, as I said, it's used in various different places: marketing, email, the address bar of your browser. And as you can see here, people are willing to spend millions and millions on the right domain name. I'll come back to this DRS in a second, but when it comes to attributing value, I think it's important to understand where the domain name sits in the context of things like search engine, social media, and even iMessage and things like that. So probably 15 years ago, the domain name used to be at the bottom of the search engine results listing. And then about 10 years ago, Google moved it below the title, and now it actually sits at the top. So that gives us some indication of how important that is to your business. So it's used very often by consumers because they can instantly see that's a legit domain name. So, it's a key asset for your business. In terms of how much to pay for a key domain name, .coms generally go for more. .co.uk, they're country specific domains. So if you're operating exclusively in the UK, I'd probably go .co.uk. If you have any kind of international aspirations, then I'd probably try and get .com. They're becoming more and more difficult to get as time goes on. But it's always worth checking platforms like Sea-Doo, because that's one of the main domain selling platforms globally. So I bought and sold quite a few domains in there for clients. Try not to get one with a hyphen would be a tip. So Celtic Manor also own celticmanor.com without the hyphen, but the hyphen, as simple as it kind of seems, that can lead to problems with customer service. So if you've got people answering the phones and they're giving out customer service information like, hey, email us at inquiries@celticmanor.com, very easy to forget the hyphen. So there's multiple reasons why you want to try and avoid that if you can. If in general, for the average brand, they're probably spending up to £2,000 to £5,000 to get the .com for their domain. I've got clients who spend a lot more, clients who spend a lot less, but that's a general kind of ballpark figure that you could probably expect to spend on getting a .co or .com even. Just going to hop back. If you are in the UK and you've got a .co.uk, somebody might have registered it before you, as long as you own the trademark and you historically have owned that trademark, but somebody has registered your domain name before you had chance, but you have to own the trademark, you could probably use something like the DRS, which is the dispute resolution service provided by .co.uk to get your domain back. Done this a couple of times. It's not particularly expensive, about £750 to get a decision. So yeah, that's one way you can try and get it back if you haven't got it and somebody's done an abusive registration, as they call it. So yeah, domain name, quite a key attribute. Okay, so outside of the kind of domain name, you want to be looking across the different channels where your brand operates and whether you can try and get channel names, handles, those kind of things. So back in the day, you could, if a Twitter handle wasn't used, I think for 6 months it was inactive, you could request to get it back. So I picked up at Mumbles, at Swansea, and a couple of others. And basically, these build kind of these generic handles. They basically almost instantaneously give trust to some extent. So in the eyes of the users, there is a trust element in there. Now, the same happens for brands. If your handle is at, whatever your brand is, it's important to kind of manage how your brand appears in all these channels. So it's worth kind of going through here just to make sure that you've got as many of the handles as you can, whether you have plans to use these channels in the short term or not. It's kind of just making sure that you collect those in the short term. So YouTube last week announced that instead of having this weird kind of channel ID, they're going to switch back to channel names. So you're going to be able to have something like youtube.com/ and then your handle. So it'd be the equivalent of how Twitter do it. They used to do that. I don't know why they've reversed the decision back to what it originally was. It was always the best way to do it. But that came out last week. So that is if you're on YouTube or you've got YouTube aspirations, it's worth going to grab those handles now, because yeah, I know I was like when I worked for a company where we were picking up all the generic ones. Any questions around like social assets, domains? No. If you're in e-commerce, you probably, and again, you're going to go international, you don't need to get multiple kind of country level domains. You could do it. Some companies will get, I don't know, for example, naissance.com, naissance.fr, naissance.us for their US arm. But if you've got a .com, and it's quite important to stipulate that, if it's .com or any other internationally recognized domain, you can just change the subdomain. So you could put fr. whatever your brand is .com, has the same kind of same effect. .co.uk doesn't play well in international markets. So it would be the equivalent of us clicking on a .fr domain, just doesn't happen in the search results. So .com is what we call a GTLD, generic top level domain. So that will work internationally as well as locally. So cool. Right. Let's have a look at some tools. Unless there's any questions, let me just check the chat. Okay, Sean, you got EasyGun to QDK 1400. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so easygarden.com is 35 grand. Would you recommend using an international subdomain or subfolder? Hopefully I answered that one. Subdomain I'd normally go for. Subfolders means that you have to be on the same. Yeah, there's various different trains of thought on that. If you're going to go Shopify, you probably want to go subdomain, so you can have multiple Shopify instances per international market. The subfolder route is normally reserved for things like WordPress or platforms like that, really. Shopify doesn't play particularly well with subfolders, especially for international. Yeah, good price, I reckon, 1,400 quid on that. So look at some tools. These are my kind of core suite of tools that we use and we recommend clients. So Google Analytics, even if you're not analytical, get that set up, because when your business is ready to start digging into that data set, you've got a lot of historical data that you can call on. The issue is if you wait to set that up, is that you're not gathering any data. So it's very difficult to do like comparative reporting on year-on-year scenarios. I'll just give you a quick view of what we're seeing. So that's just one of the websites I run, so we can see where people are coming from, what sources of traffic are driving that traffic. So Google, Bing, these people are coming direct. This is quite a well-known brand in Swansea, so we get a lot of direct traffic. And then we can see where people are basically coming from: organic, direct, referrals. That's other websites, organic social, organic video. And a point to note here, if you are running Google Analytics and it's Universal Analytics, that is going to sunset in July next year, I think it is. So you definitely want to get Google Analytics 4 set up, which is this one. Generally quite easy to do. This setup assistant, sometimes you don't need to do any code changes for that. But if you want to do year-on-year comparison, yeah, you need to start doing that ASAP. And then we've got Google Optimize. So Optimize allows you to run A/B tests. So this website, for example, they run an autumn fair. So in the wholesale space, especially with gifting, they've got various trade shows. So they use Google Optimize to change that button, and they don't need to do any code-based changes. So they don't need to get their developers involved to change that. Sounds a simple change, but this is a custom-built e-commerce platform. So it's not traditionally what Google Optimize will be used for. But you can do that kind of thing. So at key times of year, they change this button to say Spring Fair, I think it is. Equally, you could run a split test, so an A/B test, and you can say 50% of the audience, we're going to give them this message, and then 50% we're going to give them a message which says, claim £200 back on your first order. So that's and that A/B test, you can then follow that right the way through to conversion. So you can see what effect that had on customer orders, customer experience, or whatever kind of goals you're measuring. And then we've got Google Tag Manager. So Tag Manager it's used for multiple different things. So one of the cool things is that you can create you can more easily measure things. So every time somebody clicks one of these buttons, it fires an event off to Google Analytics, and we can see, right, how many people clicked on our lease button, buy used, or subscribe button. So you can do that. You can do things where you don't need to ask your developers to do it. So it's a much easier platform to do certain testing. Again, quite analytical, but cheaper than normally getting developers to do things. Okay. And then we got SEMrush. So one of the key things that businesses often miss out on is understanding their customers, their competitors' customers, and what the market is looking like from a competitor or market perspective, whichever angle they're coming at. So SEMrush, you can put in either your domain, don't really need to use your domain, more for competitors and aspirational brands that you're interested in. And you can see kind of authority score. So this is a measure of how effective they are in organic search. So the higher this score out of 100, the more likely they are to rank for their target SEO kind of keywords. It's very difficult to get anything higher than kind of 50, 60 territory. Most kind of SMEs are hovering around 40s, 50s if you're lucky. But yeah, that's an exponential figure, if you like. So to go from 43 to 44 is much harder than to go from 40 to 43. So, and then we can see organic search traffic per month, whether they're doing any paid search. This is super interesting if you are looking at, do we spend money in paid search? Well, let's go and have a look at what competitors are doing in that space. So you can see this brand is Thriver.co. So they do DNA testing. Now they've been running paid search, for the last 4 or 5 years. So that if you're one of their competitors, it gives you the confidence to kind of jump into that market, knowing that Thriver have been bidding on X, Y, and Z for the last 5 years. Chances are it's probably working for them. So, it's a bit of a confidence booster. So instead of you just taking a plunge and it's like, we're not sure if it's going to work or not, we can check if competitors are operating there. And then we got backlinks. So one of the key elements of an SEO strategy is how you get people to talk about your brand and basically backlink to you. So you can look at the backlinks from your competitors, and then you're able to kind of reverse engineer their digital PR campaigns to see how effective they're being, basically. Quite useful. And then, it's got multiple other tools. It's about £100 a month. I think they do a 30-day free trial, so you can get quite a bit of insight for free. But yeah, it's quite good, especially for like competitor market analysis. And then we got Google Bing Search Console. So Bing call it something slightly different, but Google Search Console. If you take anything away from this webinar, get access to this for your domain name, because it is kind of the holy grail of insight from Google's perspective. So this is what they see. So if we look at a quick demo of that. So again, this is my site, Gower Live. So we got live surf cameras on the beaches around Gower for the surfers and any expats who are interested in seeing what's going on in Swansea. So we can see all the search terms that drive traffic, which is super useful for kind of trying to understand what's going on with your audience. And then you can also see any technical issues with the site. So this is one of our staging environments, so like a test environment. So we've had some server issues with that last week. So this is Google saying to us, look, when we sent our robot in to come and have a look at the website, we found that we had a high server connectivity issue. Okay, so if that was on the main website, definitely want to be looking into what's going on there. I'm not worried about it because it's on our staging environment. But, unless you've got monitoring on your website using something like pingdom.com, there's a couple of other down detector tools, then, you want to be the first to know that your website's gone down, because if you're e-commerce or lead gen or whatever you're selling or service you're providing and the website's not there, it's missed sales. So this is Google's eye view on that process. So every time they send their robot in, they're looking for outages. So think about it like reputation management. If Google's coming in and it's seeing your website down consistently, the users are also going to see it down consistently. So that is that's a good report to kind of sanity check what quite often happens, and it's a very general statement, but it's your agency, whether you have kind of a managed host environment or web developer, they tend not to tell you that your website's gone down. So, doesn't look good for them if they do tell you that. Well, why has it gone down? What's this continued issue? So you have to have an independent check to see what's going on there. And that's where this comes in, or kingdom.com is another good one. And in Search Console, we can see things like Google or Core Web Vitals. So this is an indication of how good the user experience is on this website. This one's pretty bad. It's not as bad as this, but it's Google is clearly seeing some issues there. Okay, and this is actual user data. So when somebody uses Chrome, they visit your website, this feeds straight back into Google Search Console. So this is saying that 17 pages on the website have a poor user experience on mobile and desktop. Bit of fluctuation in desktop, but definitely something to look at. If this was an e-commerce store and we were seeing red figures like this, you're probably missing out on 3 to 8% of sales. Yeah, so that's the kind of impact I would expect that performance to have on sales. Yeah, so it depends on kind of how big you are, but if you're in a highly competitive market, what we tend to see is that as this score improves and you get more green-lit URLs, your organic search traffic follows suit. We've seen that a couple of times. Normally, speed and Core Vitals is a relatively low impact on the algorithms, but if they're competitive markets, then my opinion, it has a much, much higher impact on organic search and general business performance. So yeah, lots of cool stuff to see in Search Console. So again, whether you're a data geek like me or not, it's definitely worth getting access to this, because it only starts recording the moment that you request access to it from Google. Like, I can't see it. It's only you as a brand owner can get permission to get access to that. So yeah, more data in there, the better. Any questions on Search Console or that kind of Google suite of tools? So we've got, what have we got? Google Analytics, Optimize, Tag Manager, they all play together really nicely. So if you install Google Tag Manager, you can implement Google Optimize and Google Analytics without any kind of developer interaction. It's a bit more of a point and click installation using that one. So you will move on. All right, so web chat and chat bots, two different things. These can be confused as being as the same thing. So a chat bot is more of an automated live chat solution. So, somebody asks a question, you get some kind of machine learning algorithm or scripted response to the user, versus web chat or my interpretation is a one-to-one human interaction with somebody on the other end. So you can use this for customer service, sales, client onboarding, lead engagement, checkout support. So what we tend to see web chat being very successful is it's especially useful for younger demographics. They don't want to phone you up. They don't want an email. They just want an instant response, and they use web chat a lot, or chatbots. And on the flip side, then you've got people where they're at a stage in their checkout or they're about to perform an action. It's like, I just need a bit more information to give me confidence to take the next step. That's where web chat and this kind of solution can help kind of nudge that user over the line. So got quite a few different industries that we work with where we've rolled this out. So Chase Ladders, they put this on. He was kind of, he didn't think it was going to work at all. It's probably one of his most busy methods of people inquiring. Yeah, so it basically does an auto pop-up. So after about 20 or 30 seconds, this will pop up and it'll say, hey, welcome to Chase Ladders. We're here if you want to talk to us. Gets a lot of people talking to him through there. Quite often people, especially if it's your own website, you will say this pop-up's really annoying. That's because you're looking at it all the time and you're being seen as a new user. So you're seeing this pop-up. But for customers that, we see it from an analytical perspective as, a very, very engaged way that people touch base. Yeah. So, and it gives you insight into customers' requests, what they're asking for, any problems that they've had. Versus if they phone you up, none of that data kind of gets recorded. So you can never look back through the chat and go, okay, we're seeing lots of people asking about this, this, and this. How can we fix that? So yeah, it's good for data gathering and lead and follow-up. So let's go next. Okay, so these are some of the platforms that you can use. So this is quite a common one that we use. Talk.to is free, and it's probably one of the best ones out there. It does have its limitations, but for free, it's very, very good. So even if, I'm not sure that's going to work for my business, I would give it a go. You might be surprised at the kind of interaction levels that you get on there. We often get pushback saying I haven't got time to answer it. Well, it's like, if you've got phone call support from, there's somebody on the end of the line, it's exactly the same thing. It's probably easier. You can run 3 or 4 conversations through Talk at the same time, but you can only have one phone call in operation. So yeah, these are some of the other players. This one we use quite a bit. Zendesk, don't use this one so much anymore. And then Intercom's pretty legendary, but also quite expensive. So then if it's an issue, Talk, for example, you can pay them $1 an hour and they will field your chats. So that's quite useful, especially for out of hours. So if you're getting international clients, you want to kind of hook them because web chat it's very engaging. And, if you're an international business, you're going to get people visiting all the time. So yeah, bear that in mind as a potential solution. You could just shut web chat off during X, Y, and Z time. But we see that kind of situation works quite well because they won't try and answer any questions, but they'll try and extract information from that customer or potential customer, name, email address, phone number, perhaps, so that you are actually capturing some details. So with web chat, you can use analytical data to make some decisions. So you could say, right, if somebody's coming in from Facebook and we're paying for that audience, they are highly likely to bounce off your platform. So those audiences can be, you can hit them a little bit harder with your kind of sales messaging because that in this instance, 88% of them are just going to, hot foot it out. They're going to come in and 80 out of 100 people, they've gone, looking at one page view. So you can be a little bit more aggressive with how you hit those with like pop-ups and things like that. So on Talk, you can target them in this way. And then this is an instance where we know this blog post, people were spending 15 minutes reading it, which is an incredible amount of time. So it was a very engaged blog post anyway. But we know that we lose 83% of those people. So what we would do is hit them with a message after, say, 4 minutes of reading that article. And it's like, hey, we're here if you want to help. And then we'd hit them again after, say, 10 minutes to say, ... we are experts in whatever it is that we're selling. Again, we're here if you want to chat. So this is a real life example of that in operation. So we know the person's come from Google search. So we hit them with our kind of standard messaging after 45 seconds. This particular page that they're working for was an accountants for social workers page. Probably 5 years ago, probably. And so 45 seconds, how can I help? Reiterating our kind of expertise. So, we help hundreds of social workers here. We are here if you want to talk to us or ask us anything. Bang, she engages. And, this particular strategy worked exceptionally well. So if you've got leads who, quite top of the funnel, maybe they've searched for something where they might not be quite ready to buy yet with the type of, search phrase that they've used, you can use this kind of scenario. So I'll give you a quick example of that. They used to do it. I'm not sure where they do it now. So in Jovia. So they know that people come directly to this page. So gift vouchers at your hotel. So their messaging, they've changed it now. So their messaging was very, very specific to this page. I'll have a chat with them later. But this should be tailored to people who are looking for hotel gift voucher systems. So, and because we know this is a landing page, so they come directly to this page, we can control this kind of experience that the user has. And that's one good, so it's not just a generic one. It's, you're hitting them quite hard and it's specific. So, I've just seen your message, Sean, about the email notifications. We'll come back to that one. Okay. So web chat, highly recommend, or at least testing it, even if you don't think it's going to work. So we touched on this one on the last webinar. So I use Tag Crowd quite a lot. So Tag Crowd can take a huge amount of data. So if you've got 3,000 keywords about your kind of topic, in this instance, it's about Ford Fiestas, I think. You can drop those keywords into Tag Crowd and it will basically produce a tag of all the highest visibility search terms that exist in that data list. So then what we're able to see is all the things which are, of high importance to people when they're looking in this instance for a Ford Fiesta. So they're interested in interior, price, specs, insurance, reviews, what deals you can get. Let me give you a quick example of exactly what I mean there. So if I go to my website and we go performance, so we've got about 1,000 keywords here. So I'm going to download this to Google Sheets. So these are all the search terms that drive traffic to this particular website. Okay, so I can pick all these up. We've got 1,000 search terms there, and I can take this into Tag Crowd, and I can visualize very succinctly what the biggest things are people are interested in. Tide times. They want a Swansea webcam. They want a Llangennith webcam, Gower webcams. So you can very, very quickly, and from my perspective, when I look at businesses, I do this because I can, within a couple of minutes, see what kind of things people are interested in for that brand. So that's a good one. And if you want to drill down more specifically, so you could say, let's put a filter on this. So we could say, I only want to see things that contain Tide. Okay, so we're looking at a very specific subset of data. So you can think of it like a topic. We visualize that. So people are interested in the tide times at all the different beaches around Gower. They're interested in fishing. They want to forecast tide times. Yeah, they're interested in today. Okay, so that's a very easy way to look at like topic understanding pretty quickly. So Sean will probably it's one I always bleat on about, site search. But if you're in e-commerce, or you have a lot of data, so you might have documentation, products, a big catalog of something, just make it as easy as possible for people to search for things on your website. Your navigation can only be so good. So these are some of the tools that we use. Try not to use this one, but it's an open source project. The reporting is just not very good in there, versus something like Algolia and Searchinize. You can do a lot with these platforms, and there's a lot of good insight in there. And it also reports back into Google Analytics. So you can see the difference in how people convert. So people who don't search, in this instance, they're converting at 1.6%. If you get somebody to do a search, they're converting at like twice as well. So if we get more people to search, we're probably going to sell more stuff, is the crux of it. That's a super valuable tool. So then speed, being able to measure the performance of the websites is very important. So this is pretty key if you're developing a website. You may not be very technically minded. Speed's important. You're cruising around the website and it's like it doesn't feel very fast. The web agencies are like, no, it's fast, or we tested it, it's fast. I see that quite a lot. When it's clearly, even just browsing it, you can tell it's not particularly fast. So you need to get some kind of leverage to push back on that. So you can use tools like GTmetrix and PageSpeed Insights to test those things. So that will give you some insight on what's wrong with the website, what's not wrong with it. Is it fast? It might be fast, in which case nothing to worry about. But this is quite important to be able to test and push back, because as we can see here, this is 100 milliseconds. The difference between this hit and the deck is 100 milliseconds. That costs Amazon 1% profit, and Google 20%. So it's like, 20% of traffic in their search results they lose on 500 milliseconds. Most of the websites we see are multiple seconds too slow. Never mind milliseconds. So that is a useful platform, and it's free. GTmetrix, you can run something through there. Grow My Store. If you're in e-commerce, run this tool. So this will give you various bits of insight from a Google's kind of e-commerce audit perspective. So you can see this particular brand is not doing product reviews. So Google's kind of giving them some feedback on, you should be thinking about doing that. They got product search. What else we got? Yeah, they're not showing their opening hours. They're not helping people kind of find where they are. So this is quite cool. And I think it gives you some performance insights. Yeah, so it's saying mobile page speed in this one is not particularly fast. That's a good tool. And then you can see the difference. Basically, this is just 100 millisecond difference here. You're basically pushing people through the checkout much, much quicker. So on this particular, going from product detail to add the basket, there's a 9% increase in getting people to add the basket if the site is just 100 milliseconds faster. So that's insane. Okay, nearly at the end here. Yeah, so one of the key things to take away here is CRM. If you're in B2B, even B2C, you definitely want some kind of digitally connected CRM. So you want, essentially what that means is you want all your data swimming in the same pool, so that, you know, whatever somebody's doing over here, you can see the impact that's going on in your CRM. You can see where customers are coming from, how long that lead sale pipeline takes. HubSpot's one of my favorites. There are others. So Salesforce and Pardo, these have to be used together. So Salesforce is not like a natively digitally connected CRM. Pardot is the add-on to fix that. And Zoho is another CRM, which is pretty much same as HubSpot, just my preference. What that allows us to do, so this is my HubSpot account, so I can see the timeline of events with this particular prospect. So this is somebody I used to work with in a company I used to work with. So I can, this is the most critical bit. I can see that he came from organic social on LinkedIn, and he came in, 8:32 a.m., had a little look around. Then he came back 4 minutes later, another look around, 2 minutes later, and then he submitted this inquiry form. So he's like, long time to speak, give me a call, got a project I'm interested in. Now, that timeline then plays out via various emails. Didn't get it in the end. But what that says to me is that, okay, organic social is working. That post that I did on LinkedIn, drew Tim in. And that's especially important for B2B if you've got a long lead pipeline, because when you close a deal, you want to be able to come back to that deal in 6 months, 12 months, however long it took, and go, yeah, we got that person from XYZ channel, and we're going to go in again on that channel because it's working for us in terms of driving sales. So yeah, that's what you get from a digitally connected CRM. If it's just a plain vanilla CRM where, the data just kind of appears in the CRM and it's like, we don't know where they came from, but hey, we got 10 leads, that's difficult further down the line for you to go back and say, yeah, we got more from X, Y, we're going to chuck more money in that, or we're going to double down on this particular channel because we know it works. And then the other cool thing about HubSpot is you get prospects report. So these people haven't necessarily engaged with me, but these are the networks that are looking at my website. So quite a lot of them are ISPs, like this is an ISP. I think this is, that one is, but this one isn't. This is an e-commerce store, and they came direct. So they typed in my domain. These guys, Adler and Allen, came from the Shopify Facebook group, Shopify plus Facebook group. So, but they haven't engaged with me, but I know where they've come from, which is super valuable if you're doing, again, paid search campaigns. And in here, you can say, hey, we're getting PWC, we're getting whatever customer profile you're interested in, looking at our paid search campaigns. They're just not converting into actual leads and sales. So, so that gives you more confidence to go, well, we're definitely getting the right kind of traffic. They're not converting to sale. Why is that? And that's kind of that's a website conversion question. And this is free. So I've got the free version, and what you're seeing here is free. So yeah, I think that's, and then think with Google, said this on the last one, but that is a super valuable resource. So if you subscribe to their newsletters, they give you some phenomenal market and kind of industry insights specific to what you do. So I'm all over that. So if you look, think with Google. So, you got consumer insights, marketing strategies, what's coming up down the line, find my audience trends. Yeah, there's some very, very cool stuff in there. So, check that out. I think that is it. Any questions? Sean, I'll touch on your question. Is it possible to set up an email notification with warnings read the server issues. If that's coming out of Search Console, not that I've seen. If it's coming from Pingdom, yeah, you can set up Pingdom to alert you to problems with your infrastructure. I mean, I use Pingdom. I think it cost me £9 a month, but we track various clients' performance on it. So synthetics uptime. So this will give us real-time performance updates. So we can see, you know, any outages will appear in here. We can see response times. So yeah, that's quite useful. Cool. Any other questions? Go play otherwise. Lots of tools to play with there. There's, you know, as I say, one of the biggest tips is trying to get this stuff set up, even if you're not going to use it now. Get Google Analytics set up, especially GA4 and Google Analytics, Search Console, because Search Console, you know, the more data you can gather in that, the better, especially when, you know, people like me look at it, because we want a lot of historical data to see, okay, well, they were ranking for this, they're not ranking for it now. Why is that? What's our strategy to, you know, move forward or regain those rankings, etc. So, yeah, the end.
Thanks, Lee. I can't see any other questions on the side there. I believe your next one is the 7th of December.
7th of December, yes. Let me...
digital business reputation on that one. And I think you've got 3 more after that. So if you're not booked onto those and you want to, they're all on Eventbrite. So you can pop on there if you want. Any questions that come from here, Lee, I guess we can get in touch with you or come through us at AGP.
Yep. We'll we'll send the slides and the recording around, I think, is it, Lisa?
We do. If they sign their AG3s and send them back to me, that's not a problem there. Yes, they know the score on that one. Yeah. So yeah, if you've got any queries or anything, if you want the slides, just pop that into the chat facility there, and I'll send that out to you as soon as I get them. The recording takes 1 to 2 days for it to be edited before that's available. But if you want the recording as well to take back to anyone else in the company, let me know on that one as well. And if not, we will see some of you hopefully on the 7th. Thanks, Lee, for giving up your time. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Hopefully you're... I was a bit worried through that one, that my connection might go down because it stormed away again there. So enjoy the rest of your day watching football or whatever it is you're going to be doing. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one in December. So thanks, everyone. Bye.
Sean. Thanks,
Bye.